Hi YouTubers, this is Gil. So I've received a few questions about how did I used to carry my camcorder, or did I used to carry my camcorder everywhere I went, every time I went somewhere, or how did I do this? How did I do that? Like have my camcorder ready at a moment's notice? Or how did I do it? Did I used to carry the camcorder with me 24/7? Or how did I used to do that? Well, to answer that question, I pretty much did, actually. I mean, I pretty much carried my camcorder with me everywhere I went. Everywhere, you know. But you know what? It's mostly around the house. When it came to my life, it was just mostly around the house that you'd see me carrying my camcorder during the 80s decade, 80, 89, well, 88 and 89, and even during the 90s decade. I always had my camcorder with me, whether it was just VHS or my smaller sized 8mm, which was better for me because when it came to carrying camcorders over the years, I mean, I wanted to go upgrade to the smaller camcorder, but over the years they got better and better, and they got cheaper and cheaper. So as the years progressed, I would be upgrading myself to the next better one. But for me, in 1988, 89, I had actually preferred the VHS back then because the ease of the cassettes, the ease of just taking out the cassette and putting it in the VCR, you know. So I actually preferred the VHS back then because it was like a #1 format back in the day. Everybody wanted a VHS back in the day. But you know, they did have 8mm like this one. Well, it was not like this one though, but it was like more primitive than this one. During 88, 89, well, I had the choice to buy a little VHS-C or an 8mm. They did have them in the 80s, but I actually preferred the VHS back then though, because it was preferred over other formats back in the day, and then the ease of putting it in the VCR. Yeah, so anyway, so the big question about did I used to carry this with me everywhere I went? The answer to that question is pretty much. It's pretty much, you know, it was something that I loved doing. I loved making videos back then. So, I mean, it was hardly a day that you'd see me carrying my camcorder nearby. But you know, if it was in the house, if I was living my life in the house, then you'd see me with my camcorder pretty much every day, every minute of the day, pretty much. But of course, you know, there was gonna be days when I would always have it aside somewhere. I would leave it on a TV stand, or I would leave it at a table, or you know, a lot of flies in here. I would leave it at my bed or wherever I found convenient to place my camcorder until the next time I want to use it. And then whenever, let's say that I went outside and I saw a group of kids playing a game, and then I would want to go ahead. Now the trick of it all, I mean, the camcorder, I mean, I pretty much had it with me all the time, but of course, you know, I had to set it down here and there. So, for the example, if I came across something interesting to record, I would run to the house, grab my camcorder, and then I would run outside and I would start making a video. This is one thing that you commonly saw me doing back in the 80s and even 90s as well. I mean, that's how I did it. And that went with these smaller camcorders too. I mean, although these were easier to carry around, so I would carry these more often with me all the time. I would have it with me all the time, more often than I would with the VHS, because more often because the VHS, it was big and heavy, so the VHS, I would just put it aside whenever I'm not using it, but whenever I would come across something interesting to record, I would run to the camp to where it's at, get it, and then I would start making a video. But but there are instances though, like one of you was telling me. I think I forgot the name. I'm sorry. Well, anyway, it's the one of you that was asking me a lot of questions yesterday. I mean, about this scenario. Well, anyway, to sum it up, I did have a number of times where like whenever I had something really interesting to record and I wanted to hurry and get my camcorder, get it real quick, but there had been instances where I couldn't find my camcorder on time, or I couldn't get it on time, and then either I couldn't find it or couldn't get it on time, and then by the time I would get it, it would already be done. The thing I wanted to record, it would already be done, or the kids went home or whatever. I mean, that's one instance those are one of the things that I had before. Another thing that the same person did mention about, like, did I ever make a video and everything only to find out that it wasn't recording all that time. Well, yeah, I've had a few of those too, I mean, it's happened to me a few times, but although not a lot, did not happen to me too much, because I mean, I had times, it happened with any camcorder that I had. I would have the camcorder and I would be all recording everything, like the dog or whatever, and I would be recording. And then after the dog finished his funny thing or funny tricks, and then when I wanted to press stop, I just realized that the thing wasn't recording all that time. It used to piss me off, I mean, it's happened a few times, but not too much, not a lot. I mean, but of course there's a few times when it goes the other way too, like when I thought I stopped recording but it was still recording, and I would be all holding my camcorder down and it's still recording, yeah. I mean, it happened to me a few times where when I stopped recording and only to realize that I didn't actually stop and it was still recording while I was still carrying it, and then and that would cause a stir in my mind, and then if that happened, then what I had to do is, like, especially if it was a situation where I was in a hurry to make a video and I realized that I was recording for like half an hour without realizing that it was, then chances are the tape would have finished, and then if I would have wanted to record something in emergency and only to find out the tape finished because I didn't know it was recording. So, or I mean, if I'm lucky to catch it early enough, then I would be able to go ahead and rewind the tape to the spot where I left off and then record over all that stuff. But I just had to be sure that, I had to hope that I'm not needing to record at moment's notice when I realized that it was recording without realizing it was. And it goes the other way around, like where when I pushed the record button only to realize that I actually didn't push it, and I missed out on this funny action of the dog or the funny thing that the kids were doing or whatever, and I missed out on it. I mean, I had those, But anyway, to answer you guys' question about whether I used to whether I had my camera on me all the time, yes. I mean, I would say pretty much, pretty much, I did. Pretty much, because it was a big hobby, for me. But on the other hand, it was only when I was home or when I was within the distance of my home, or if I was visiting, or if I was having a gathering, things like that. It's all only home use, only home situation. Like if I'm at home only, that I would have my camcorder with me all the time. And other times, the only time I would have my camcorder with me all the time other than home is if I was on a little project going out in streets and recording the streets, and it was not too often that I did that. So, because I didn't feel interested in doing things like that back then. But now I kind of wish I would have recorded more of the streets, but cars or with streets or whatever. But I did though. But you know what? I typically would record the streets on a holiday, especially Christmas, you know, because it's a happy moment of the year. So I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to get my camcorder and make a video of the streets, you know, like during the holiday season. So I would have a little project one day, drive around the car and bring my camcorder everywhere I go for that day only for that day, and for the purpose of recording streets but you know what, I often did that, like spend a lot of time recording streets and stuff on any brand new camcorder I had just bought. You know, like whenever I had just bought a new camcorder, I want to try it out. So I would go ahead and drive all over the place, bringing my camcorder with me, and record the streets. So, I mean, that's how I used to do it. Sadly, though, the thing was that there was a lot of times, you know, when I was on the streets, when I would be on the streets and there was something really cool to record, like such as a car that ran into a fire hydrant or whatever, or maybe I see someone fighting in the street or whatever, anything, you know. And then it would have been a beautiful time for me to have my camcorder with me, but of course, you know, it was kind of a pain in the butt to carry the camcorder literally everywhere, you know. To carry the camcorder literally everywhere, it was kind of a drag to do that back in my day, especially this one, you know. I could not bring this literally everywhere I went, you know. I could not do that. It was too much drag to do that, you know. It was only on special days or specially times that I would go ahead and lug this around everywhere I go, including the car. But, you know, it was kind of a pain in the butt to do that. So, I mean, I would not do that except if I'm going to do the project of recording streets for the holiday or something. So there you have it. That's the answer right there. So the whole answer to that, did I carry this 24/7? I pretty much did, but only when I was at home or when I was visiting family, and that's pretty much it, you know, because it was too kind of bulky. It's too bulky to lug it around literally everywhere, you know. I would not. I mean, it was kind of a drag to carry it with me every day to go to work and stuff, you know. But now, if we're talking about today, I mean, the evolution of camcorders for me today, I mean, it's like I had my wish back in my day. It's like I had my wish that the camcorder was small enough to fit in my pocket, you know. I had wished. And I had my wishes during the 90s, you know, like that they had camcorders like small enough that I could fit in the pocket, you know. Yeah, I tell you, I mean, then I would have thought that that's the coolest thing in the world to do that. But I mean, it was kind of far away. The reality was far away during the 90s decade and 80s decade. It was far away. But going on to the 2000s, it was kind of far away. I mean, it was not until like the middle 2000s where the cell phones started having good enough cameras. But it was not until around 2011 or, yeah, I think it was it 2009, or it was one of those years. I know it was like around those years. 2011, I think it was. It was like the first year where I officially didn't feel like I no longer needed to own a camcorder, because the cell phones were now HD. Going on to 2011, I mean, it was my very first HD camcorder or HD camera phone. I got my very first, and it was this Samsung Galaxy Captivate, it was called. It was actually a Galaxy 1. Galaxy 1, and so that was my very first camera phone that I replaced a camcorder with. So, I mean, it worked okay, but it was a little finicky. But the thing that was great about these phones was that the best part about it was being able to carry my camcorder, being able to carry this with me 24/7. Now that is way cool right there. I mean, 2011 was pretty much officially the first time that I was able to carry my camcorder like in a small size phone with me 24/7. They officially started right there. I mean, although a camcorder would have been better for serious videotaping, but the phone was good enough for me. So, I mean, the days of my camcorders kind of ended in 2011, and I started using cell phones from that point on. And now, today, I mean, it's what's to love about today is that I don't need to carry my camcorder with me anymore because I have my phone with me 24/7. And I'll tell you, so that's the great thing about it, you know, about today, you know. But back then, it was something that I would have wished to be able to do back in the 80s, you know. And not only that, I mean, the technology of cameras today, they're becoming more convenient. Like my phone, I could carry the camera with me everywhere I go, literally now. Even in places that I would have never been able to bring a camera in, like a store, for an example, you know. And not only that, like with evolutions of cameras, for me, I mean, things got even more interesting these days because we now have GoPros where we could attach the camera on a bike helmet, and we don't have to even carry the cam. And boy, I would have wished to be able to do this in 1988, 89. Although in 1988, I mean, I was, however, able to carry my camcorder while riding the bike at the same time. Yes, I was able to do that, although it was a little bit hard, but I was able to do that, but as long as I went slow, as long as I took it easy on the bike, you know, really slow, I mean. But, I mean, it was very limited, but I was able to ride my bike with the camcorder on my shoulder at the same time. But, however, I could not ride my scooter and hold the camcorder at the same time. There's just no way I was able to do that with the scooter. And that's about it, really. And of course, you know, you could drive a car with the camcorder, but, you know, back in the day, I mean, it would have been so cool for me to be able to have a camera like this in my scooter days. And I tell you, I would have wished to be able to do that, you know, back in my day. I mean, I wanted to make videos while riding my scooter, but there's just no way that I was gonna be able to carry this and ride the scooter at the same time, unless I invented some kind of like box or strap or something, unless I invented something like that. But even then, that would have been pretty bulky. You know, but there's ways of doing it, but I didn't have enough interest in doing that though. So there you have it. So that's the whole answer about how I used to do cameras, how I used to carry around cameras with me all the time, like 24/7. So the all-in-all answer is I did pretty much have my camera on me but I was not literally carrying it on me 24/7. No, I was not doing that. I just only had it nearby me 24/7, except for when I was going to like work or things like that. But I mean, anyway, so that sums up the video, and I hope you liked this video. So I hope it answered many of you guys' questions. I did get a number of questions about that, so this is the ultimate answer to this. All right, this is Skill, your 80s vlogger, and I hope you have a good day, rest of today. And it's June the 29th today, in 2019.